Hi, I'm Jo Middleton. I've been writing my blog, Slummy Single Mummy, and working for myself now since about 2009. I'm here today with Nick Breton from Direct Line for Business, and he's going to tell me all about different types of business insurance. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
Thank you for chatting to me today.
You're welcome.
So first up, I've got a bit of a confession. I've been running my own business since 2009, but I've never had business insurance. Could you talk me through different types of business insurance?
Sure. Anybody who is dealing with members of the public, interacting with customers, providing services and goods from home really needs to have business from home insurance. It's always important to think about what would happen if we had a flood or a fire or a theft. And it may well be that standard home insurance doesn't cover these eventualities for businesses. So you need to consider specialist home business insurance. Home business insurance will also include public liability, which is very important if any customers or members of the public with whom you interact suffers accident or injury or any other loss through your work. It's also very important to consider what happens with stock and equipment which you use for business. And it may well be that, again, standard home insurance doesn't cover things like this.
So at the moment, without any insurance, what are the risks that my business is open to? Could somebody literally come to my house and trip over a cable and sue me?
Crazy as it sounds, that is definitely something that you need to consider, yes. Again, any interaction that you have with members of the public or with customers, you need to think about what could go wrong and what could the consequence of that be. So yes, somebody visiting you at your home, if that's your place of work, or if you visit them and they have an accident or suffer an injury, then they could sue you or try and sue you, and you need to make sure that you're covered for that. And you can get cover whether you're working from your home or whether you're working at other people's homes or whether you're working elsewhere, such as trade events and exhibitions. The same also applies to goods that you manufacture as well. So perhaps if you're a caterer, for instance, and you're selling cakes, if somebody becomes ill as a result or suffers food poisoning, again, they might pursue a claim against you, and you need to make sure that you're covered for stuff like that.
Okay, someone could quite easily fall ill after one of my cakes. So at the moment, it's just me working for myself, but I can see a point in the future where I might perhaps take on staff or employ people. Are there particular types of insurance I need for that?
Yes, the most common type of insurance in this case, Jo, would be employer's liability insurance. And in fact, if you do employ staff, you do need to have employer's liability insurance. Most insurers will provide £10 million worth of liability insurance as standard, although the minimum is £5 million. And you do need to display a certificate of employer's liability at the place of work where your staff can see it.
Okay, so you said that the employer's liability is definitely a must if you've got staff.
That's right.
The other types of business insurance, is that a legal requirement, or are there particular industries where you absolutely have to have business insurance?
Well, yes, some professions do need to have professional indemnity insurance. And of course, we've already said that employers need to have employer's liability insurance. However, liability insurance isn't a requirement, isn't mandatory, but it's very important for businesses to consider what could go wrong and what are the risks which are maybe common and maybe which aren't so common, but which nevertheless could have quite an effect on their business.
Yeah, I guess if it was me, I wouldn't be able to afford to go to court and defend myself if an accident happened. Okay, so the professional indemnity insurance, that's quite an interesting one, because in my job as a blogger, and I do some kind of consulting work with small businesses, quite often I might be advising on kind of social media strategy or something like that, and I think a lot of bloggers find themselves moving into that kind of field. Is that the kind of thing that insurance would suit? Because I'm guessing, you could, for example, give some advice that goes wrong and a brand's reputation suffers online. Is that the sort of thing that it would protect against?
Yes, that's right. Anybody who relies upon your advice could pursue a claim against you if the advice you've given is negligent, or if you admit to an error, or if there's any other form of malpractice. Yes, so professional indemnity insurance is very important in these cases, because even if you're not necessarily at fault, then some customers may still take you to court. The costs of defending yourself, of course, could be very considerable, as well as the stress, of course. Yeah. So professional indemnity insurance will cover against negligent advice, or where customer data perhaps has been compromised, or where there's an instance of libel or slander, or where there's a dispute about about intellectual property rights. So professional indemnity covers all those sorts of occurrences.
So in my job, I mean, the key pieces of equipment for me are things like my laptop. Is that the sort of thing that would be covered by my home insurance, or would I need business insurance for that sort of equipment, or are there other bits of equipment that you can get insured?
It will depend whether your laptop is covered or not, what you've arranged with your home insurer, but you need to check, because you may well find that laptops used for business will not be covered under a standard home policy, in which case you'll need to have a specialist home business policy. If you use other equipment, of course, in the course of your work, so for instance, if you're a caterer, your catering equipment, if you're a photographer, high-end cameras, etc., then you do need to make sure that those are covered, along with any stock which you use as well.
Okay. Well, thanks, Nick. That was really interesting. I'm
welcome.
definitely going to go and get some quotes now.
Good.
I feel like I need to be covered.